Hi guys.
No,
Hi guys and hi all. My name is
start.
Christine and welcome to Friday Startup Night Out. Today we have a special guest. Today we have Pratik Gadia. It's lovely to meet you and it's an honor to have you here with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. Pleasure.
Thank you very much. So I'm sure everyone has some questions that they would love to ask you, but I'll move to the audience at the end. Today, I have a few questions that I'd like to kick off with. So I'd like to find out what inspired you to create the Yarn Bazaar.
Sure. So I have a family business in textiles, which is into fabric manufacturing. I spent close to 6 to 7 years in the family business. And while I was there, I was mainly managing yarn procurement, which is yarn sourcing and fabric production. Right. And I mean, honestly, that time I was not very happy about it. But today I feel, grateful that I got that opportunity because that allowed me to get meaningful insights into the needs, desires, and problems of both buyers as well as suppliers. So when I started Yarn Bazaar, it was more of an empathetic journey and not a sympathetic journey. So the idea was that there were certain problems that I was facing as a yarn buyer, and I knew that these are problems that most buyers are facing. So the idea was to start solving for those problems, which is a large scale problem in a very large industry.
Okay, excellent. Very good. And I mean, in terms of you branching out on your own and you had started off in a family business, I mean, how did your family feel about this? Did you find any resistance from them, or did they actually feel like, oh, you're going to do your own thing now? Good, go ahead.
In fact, there's still resistance.
Really? Okay, why?
So, see, the way most Indian, business families are structured is that it works on a concept of lineage, right? And when I say my family business, it's just my dad. It's my dad who started that business, and I'm the only son. So his expectation is always that he's built something, and he expects his son to, take that forward from there. And me branching out and then telling him that at this stage, I'm not going to be someone who's carry on his business. He has to do that on his own, or he has to shut that business. That's of course not something that he would willingly accept.
Okay, I'm going to step on some toes, I think, by asking this question, but I don't know if it's safe or not. But do you think that maybe you guys could come into an agreement of getting the businesses to work together, like kind of a coagulation, not a takeover, but maybe kind of the businesses working together? Is it possible in the future, maybe?
So, two ways to look at it. There overlap between this business and the family business. The family side, the other side on the other side. So number one, there is no overlap for us to work together. And we, even if there was, let's say the family business was in yarn and the yarn bazaar was also in the same segment. Ideally, what we are doing is we are actually creating a play between a manufacturer and consumer, which is very heavily middleman dependent. In that case, you know, my family business, if that was a middleman and there's overlap, we would actually be wanting to grab their market share also.
I see. Okay. Wrong question. Okay. I was trying to form some kind of like happiness, positive vibe bond here. Okay. Maybe not. So what about marketing your business? I mean, how are you marketing it?
So see, when we say marketing, that's a very broad term, right? We have to look at marketing from a very specific lens, right? Certain businesses, the understanding of marketing is the objective is that you have to create a brand visibility, B, you have to create credibility, right? What I mean by awareness and credibility is that the moment anybody thinks of buying or selling yarn, the first name that should come to the mind is the Yarn Bazaar. And because we're doing large volume transactions, high value transactions, all advance payment, it is very important for us to build trust. Right? For a lot of businesses, marketing means lead generation. Right? For us, it's not a matter of lead generation, it's a matter of building that trust that buyers and suppliers trust us that will make the right recommendation of yarn to them. We will ensure a seamless process and that they can trust us to pay us advance, right? Before they have received of material. Right? If you look at e-commerce in India, when Flipkart started, they started with a concept called cash on delivery, which is that you have received the material and now against that you're paying cash. And our concept is expecting them to first pay the money and then the dispatch would happen. And then there's a transit time of 3 to 5 days for them to actually receive the material. And so for us, marketing is more about creating the brand awareness and create credibility, which is a trust factor. And the way we started doing that is content. We strongly believe that the best way to build trust is through content, where you position yourself as a thought leader, right? You cement the Bazaar as a brand, which is, providing the right market insights, market intelligence, which is very fair, which is unbiased in nature. When you look at middlemen, the way their business is structured is that they want to optimize their profit, which means, let's say if you are a middleman sitting with a lot of inventory, and if you expect the market rates to drop, right, in the interest of protecting your margins or maximizing your profits, you would actually offload the material to a buyer, right? In our case, what we do is we inform the buyer that, boss, we feel that the price is going to drop, and hence you should not purchase now, you should wait for some time and then purchase at the right time. And so for us, marketing was more about content. That's something that we've always focused on. That's something we continue to focus on.
See. Okay, brilliant. And with regards to your experience now, pitching your startup in Shark Tank India, I mean, you got funding from 4 sharks. So how was your experience?
I mean, I think it was a great experience, right? We were able to fetch a good deal, bagging 4 sharks. Again, I have grown up watching Shark Tank US, Shark Tank Australia, Dragons Den UK. Right, I've done my master's from Warwick's Business School, which is UK. Dragons Den is very popular in there. So at least one thing that really gives me a lot of happiness is that I have at least not come across an episode where the sharks had asked the pitcher to step out of the tank because they were constructing a deal together. Right? Even in the Shark Tank India format, you've seen a lot of deals when the sharks have come together and done a collaborative deal. But all the discussion, negotiation, and everything happened while the pitcher was in the tank. Or there have been many times in the Indian or the global format where the pitcher has left the tank. But that was when they had to take a decision where they wanted to discuss internally between multiple representatives of the founders. So it's very rare that the sharks have asked someone to step out because they're collaborating on a deal together. And secondly, one of the sharks going out and then coming back in the deal. So these were, I mean, that gave me some kind of validation that they really have that conviction in our vision. Now, which translated to this success today. We receive very good treatment in the textile industry. Right? People have heard about us. People have seen us on television, which also enables us to kind of acquire more textile companies either as a buyer or a supplier. Because pre-Shark Tank, if we were to approach a textile company with a new age digital concept, it would take a hell lot of sales process, training, education to kind of convince them to do this. Today, that barrier has gone because that trust or credibility has been built because they've seen us on TV. And so overall, I think the experience was great, and the translation of that into business has been massive.
As you said, like people saw you on TV and now you know your name. So how does it all make you feel?
One of the first things I had to do was I had to shut my social accounts. I'm no longer on Instagram.
Okay.
Because I feel that as a founder, especially as an early stage founder, there's a lot of problem solving to be done. You have to be in the office, you have to hustle a lot. And if you're on social media where you're receiving a lot of visibility, a lot of requests, that kind of either distracts you or that slightly derails you in your business building process.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the attention I felt was suddenly it went up, and I don't like that attention. So I went off social media. I'm only there on LinkedIn again, not extremely active there, just there for the for purely because of because I don't want to miss out on this business networking platform.
Okay, fair enough. And what about your first customer for your startup? How did you find them?
Yeah, so there's a concept called 0 to 1, which is the most, which is a very difficult journey. So your first few customers, your first few suppliers is the most difficult thing because once usually there's a concept called network effect. like the domino effect or the network effect. Once you've got certain people who are transacting with you, then building other people's trust and getting their business is easier. So of course, the first few customers was I mean, not easy, and especially in our case where our customers were buying on credit, they were getting at least a 30 or a 90-day credit, and then convincing them to actually purchase with us, a new age business, a new business that they have not heard of, and to also pay us in advance. I mean, you can imagine it would have been a very difficult journey. But again, our content did help us. So we were able to penetrate into one market which is very large when it comes to fabric manufacturing, which were our buyers, and we were able to get first few buyers which were pretty large in nature. So that helped us build upon the business from there.
Okay. And what is the vision of your startup in the next 5 years?
So our vision from day one has been very clearly defined. Textiles is a very large industry, but highly fragmented, and 80% of the industry is SMEs, which are small, medium enterprises, like smaller businesses. So it is very important for us to organize this unorganized industry, which is our vision. And we believe the only way we could do that is by empowering the smaller textile companies. So our vision is to organize this larger unorganized industry, and the mission is to empower the smaller textile companies.
Okay, brilliant. And with regards to our entrepreneurs here, because I'm sure they would love some advice, what advice would you give them to be, they're aspiring entrepreneurs? So what's your best piece of advice?
Just start, don't think about it. I'll tell you what I mean by that. I've seen a lot of people who have, good ideas, good vision, but one of the two things happens with them. Either they end up spending a lot of time at the concept stage, which is like, internally discussing what the roadmap should be, what this should be, what that should be, what the GTM should be, what how the product market fit would happen. And unless you actually start, it's very difficult to understand the real life problem, because once you start building, it's when you actually start understanding the real problems in, proper detail. And the other problem that happens with this is that, a lot of times you're waiting for validation. Like one of the first questions you asked me about my family's response to this. If I feel, and it's not just something that applies to a businessman, whether you're a sports person or an artist or a musician or a business person, right? If you wait for people around you, your friends and families, for their validation, a lot of times that's not going to come, right? If you have high conviction in your vision or in your idea, you should rather start. And once you start doing good, once you start gaining traction, the validation will start, slowly start coming in. Right? A lot of the top sports personalities in the world, a lot of the top artists in the world, they actually didn't get validation on day one, right? But they had high conviction. They wanted to be the cricketer. They wanted to be the boxer, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It has to come from within. It can't be given to you from day one. You have to work towards it.
Yeah, once you believe in something, you should just go for it. It doesn't matter if you don't have the support, doesn't matter if you don't have the finances, doesn't matter if you don't have the resources.
Brilliant.
দিদি ও কাল থেকে মোজা পরবে না।
I don't know what that was. Okay. So we've got a question here from Vishal, who said, how many people are in your team?
As of today, because the number keeps changing every week. Right now, it's about 29 people.
Okay.
Of course, we've been hiring aggressively, and with every week, the number keeps increasing.
Mm-hmm. And how often do you meet your investors?
See, an investor and investee relation is very critical, right? One of the things that investors bring on the table is not just money; it's also problem solving, or say, finding your way out. And when you're building a business, obviously you're doing problem solving on a daily basis, right? The idea of reaching out to investors is to shorten your learning curve. So we have a very frequent interaction with almost all our investors. Every time we are stuck in a place, or there's a problem that we find it difficult to solve, we reach out to them, we get their perspectives. Very important to get different perspectives, because every person would look at one problem from a very different lens, and their solution will also be from a very different lens. So once you reach out to good quality investors and get different perspectives, your learning curve gets shortened and your probability of solving for that problem actually increases. So we interact with them very often.
Brilliant. And Vishal has also asked, what's your advice to handle cash crunch?
Build a business which is a cash generating machine. You cannot rely on just external funding or external support. Right, the business has to be something which can be self-sustaining. Like one of the exercises we do with our team is, we ask all of them individually, what is wealth to them? Right? Even if you were to ask this question to all the participants today, I can tell you that everyone's attitude towards wealth is very different. And everyone's definition of wealth is very different. And what we ensure is that at least our team members have one common understanding of wealth, which is a wealthy person or a wealthy company is such that, if someone was to go bankrupt overnight, it should not take them more than say X number of days or weeks or months to actually become wealthy again. And that can only happen if you have massive cash flows coming in. Right. So the best way to handle cash crunch is you have to prepare yourself in a position that you have massive cash flows coming in, so that you see, like COVID, for example, it was an unprecedented event. Nobody would have expected that. But the companies which are fairly cash rich or had massive inflows of cash were able to survive that in a much better manner.
So it's putting yourself in a very safe position, kind of have money for a rainy day sort of position.
Yes. So treasury is a very important function, and unfortunately, most companies in India, because they're primarily SMEs, they don't have a treasury function as such, right? They don't understand treasury. It's actually very important for you to manage either your cash reserves or ensure frequent cash inflows.
Brilliant. And how do you hire and fire people?
I think hiring is, again, it's very complex in nature. Everyone's approach to hiring is very different. There's no right and wrong way to each its own, because it's about building a culture, and every company's culture is very different. Right? There are certain companies which have a notice period of not more than 7 days. And there are certain companies which have a notice period of 90 days. And that's part of the hire or fire or the culture building. When we hire, there are 3 key parameters that we look at. One is, of course, capability, is the skill set and those kind of things. Second is the attitude, right? You can come across people who don't have the right capability, but if they have the right attitude to learn, sometimes that is more important than hiring someone who has the capability but a bad attitude. And learning and unlearning is a very important skill set, which is a very attitude layer of an individual. And the third thing we look at is compatibility, right? You can come across people who have the right attitude and the right capabilities, right? The right skill set. But culturally, they're not a good fitment for you. So ensuring a mix of, if not 3, then at least the attitude and compatibility is very important. That's something that we look at when we hire people.
And Swanali has asked, how do you manage your time?
I'm still learning. If someone can guide me on that. But I'm trying to streamline my calendar. I'm trying to see if I can have dedicated days for dedicated functions. So just last week I've changed my calendar again. I'm trying a new format and seeing if that is making my work more efficient. But that's still work in progress.
Okay, brilliant. And we also have a question from Swanali about how do you manage your anger in the workplace?
I think certain roles, like for example, a founder, we don't have the privilege to have emotions at work, right? You can't get frustrated, you can't be angry, you can't get impatient, because then again it affects your culture, and it has a very negative effect of that event on the team. Right? You may be having the worst day, you may be having a crisis in your personal life, right? But when you step into your office, right, while you're working, you cannot let your emotions get the better of you. So I think I've been fortunate that when it comes to my professional life, I'm able to control or manage my emotions very well.
And what is your dream when it comes to entrepreneurship? Shitra asked this to Shitra.
I only have one dream. I want to, focus on leaving a legacy. So we want to build a company which actually becomes like a case study for, other companies, other people in the world. So it's all about leaving a legacy behind, and that's a dream that we follow every day.
Okay. And we've got now another question from Nesh, sorry, excuse me, from Nesh. And it's, what do you suggest for hiring at the beginning stage of a venture? Reference, one-to-one interview.
Very good question, Nesh. So, reference, of course, is important because it helps you to understand things that you may miss during the interview stage. But even if you have a reference, you should not avoid the interview stage, right? It is very important to have the right interview process in place. An interview process does not mean just one-on-one interviews. For certain roles, it's important to have a case study also in place because there are certain people who are very great at talking, who can give the best of interviews. But a case study is what actually puts context to place, whether they're the right people for that particular job. But then that can only be done if you know their problem solving or their strategy side of things once they're solving a case study for you.
Okay.
So very important to have the right interview process. And if you can manage to get references, again, nothing better than that.
Absolutely. Okay, and Twinkle Agarwal, how do you manage work life? Yeah,
you mean work-life balance?
I think so. Yes, I was going to say, I think she means work-life balance.
I don't believe in work-life balance. I think it's a mythical concept, honestly. Just last 2 days, I was in Mumbai with a few of my team members for a few meetings. And I remember yesterday afternoon, we were traveling from one place to another. And while we were in the cab, we were actually using an Uber. And one of my team members asked me, Pratik, what was the last vacation you've taken? And to be honest, like I had to think about it for at least maybe 2 to 3 minutes to figure out which was the last vacation I took.
Oh goodness.
Right? Because so when your vision is very large, when you've set on a journey to build something great, you don't look for work-life balance because work is what excites you, and you don't want to be outside of work. Like right now, I'm in the office. It's in India. It's 9:30 p.m. Right, I'm in office. If I could just turn my camera, the entire office is shut. It's dim, no sound. But yeah, this is what excites you. This is what you enjoy. So you don't look forward to a work-life balance.
Okay. And Shaifali asked, what is something you wish you had known before becoming CEO?
The role of a CEO. I mean, but jokes apart, too many things. And I think if I've learned something today, and if you would ask me this question 2 years later, again, I would say too many things. It's always a work in progress. The market around us is very dynamic. There is no certain traits or qualities or behavior of a CEO that should remain the same. With changing times, demand changing, attitudes and changing approaches. Uh, Very important to be very agile and be very, on your toes.
And Suchitra asked, can you share some challenges you faced when you started?
Convincing buyers and suppliers to work with us, and especially on advanced payments. Yeah, but too many challenges. I think, again, like I've been saying, building a journey is about problem solving. At all stages, you will have a lot of challenges. And everybody has different set of challenges. Some may be common, but a lot of it is very unique to your journey, to your business, to your model, right? Even if there are 4 different companies working on the same problem, everyone's product market fit can be different.
Okay. And Swanali asked, what are the company's values?
One of our core values is frugality. We truly believe that it's very important to be frugal, right? It's very important to be customer obsessed. So we have certain values like, integrity, customer obsession, frugality. But yeah, frugality is very important to us.
Okay. And Nikatan, he said, if he gets a chance to live in his 20s again, okay, if you get a chance to live in your 20s again, what are the things you will learn so that it will be helpful today?
Okay, that's a deep one. If I was 20 again, maybe one of the things I would learn is I would rather say hiring because again, like I said earlier, see, most founders or promoters or management, right? We have a vision, but the execution of the vision or the translation of the vision is dependent on the team you build. And building a team, I believe, is the most challenging thing that every promoter, management, or a founder has to do. Right? When I speak to founders who are at a very mature stage, founders who raised a series B, C, D also, founders whose startup is today valued at least a few $1 billion, right? Like multi unicorns. Even if you were to ask them, the biggest pain point is building the team, managing attrition, and building the culture. The earlier you start this process, I feel is it equips you to kind of do that at a later stage because the way human beings are built, human nature is that with age, with most people there's a high level of rigidity that comes into place. So learning and unlearning can become challenging, and the earlier you try building the team is very important.
Okay. And Vishal has asked personal brand versus corporate brand. What do you
Corporate
think?
brand, always. I think a company should not write on a personal brand because human beings are, mortal, but a company can be immortal. A company's life can be more than that of one or two people. So building the company as a brand is very, very important, right? Steve Jobs is not there anymore, but the brand Apple carries forward.
Okay. Brilliant. So I think that is everyone. Is that everyone asked the questions that they wanted to ask today? I think everyone's ready. We've exhausted all of it, all of the questions. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Pratik. It's been a lovely and a pleasure meeting you. And thank you guys for joining. It's always a pleasure being here. And I wish you all a good evening. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thank you. Bye, guys.